The Florida Gators have dominated the transfer portal so far, but still need help and should be getting it soon.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever the podcast and on YouTube. I am Brandon Olsen. Happy Tuesday. Lifelong Florida Gators fan here. In today's episode of Locked On Gators is brought by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. I have no idea why the order that I decided to introduce the show today was in a different order, but hey, that's what we do, right? Say lovey. I don't even know if I use that right either, but we get delusional this late at night, which, by the way, we will be going live the time that I'm recording this now at about 5 a.m. GMT. We will be going live tomorrow. After, I guess tonight after Florida and Oklahoma play, we'll be going live right after that game as well. The Florida Gators added Kanye Clark yesterday from UCLA. We'll talk about him a bit later, but I did want to talk about how they've completely dominated the portal so far in terms of fielding a roster, right? Because we saw all the roster turnover, and I think a lot of people thought, well, that's not exactly great for us, right? It's going to be a lot to replace in year one of a head coach. It's going to be tough. And then, I don't know, Jon Sumrall kind of just went, no, it's not, and did it. Like they replaced a lot of the talent on the roster. They still have some spots they need to address. And I'm gonna rip the Band-Aid off here now. I know everybody or a lot of people want an offensive tackle. Especially, I know a lot of us, our eyes kind of lit up when Colorado's Jordan Seaton entered the transfer portal last night. But one, that one's not happening. But two, I don't think, the caliber name offensive tackle that fans want is coming in. I don't even know if another offensive tackle is coming in at all. So we won't be wasting our time. I don't waste my time. I won't waste yours. Defensive tackle, however, is a spot that Florida will be looking at and that Florida will be looking to add. I also think they're in an interesting spot where if the defensive front is going to look more like Kentucky's defensive front or more of, just a traditional 4-down, right? I especially think that you can get away a little bit with less of the, pure nose types, but I still think that Florida, if you're going for an interior defensive lineman, will go for their nose tackle type in this case. Jacksonville State edge or defensive lineman, Emmanuel Oyebadejo, he's someone who the expectation from what I was told is that he's probably going to play more on the interior than anything else. And so if he's playing on the interior, he's not going to be a nose tackle, right? Like, yeah, he's what, 320 pounds, I think is what he's listed as, but he's also 6'7". He's also 6'7". And so I think that when you talk about, being that tall and that weight, like, yeah, you're still a big dude. There's no doubt about it. You're still a massive human being. But I do think it's worth noting that, you're not as, I guess we'll say, wide as I think a lot of nose tackles typically are, right? And you're not as low as a lot of current nose tackles typically are. And so I think that you look more for a nose tackle here. And I don't think you need to go, swinging for a big name. And we spoke about this when nose tackle Mekhi Boyero hit the transfer portal, right? Because it's no secret. I think Mekhi Boyero is a very talented nose tackle. I think that provided he keeps his head on straight, which I'm not saying, but I want to make this clear. I'm not saying anything about his character. I do not know him. I do not know his character. Okay. I just also like to add just the caveat of, if his head's on straight, he keeps working, keeps developing, I think he's going to be playing on Sundays for a while too. I think he's a really good football player. And when he hit the portal, one of the things was that, well, the reports were he's asking for, upper tier money for a nose tackle, which fair if that's what you're looking for. Like, that's fair. But I think a lot of defenses, especially those that are more traditional 4 down front, are not going to pay that. Okay. And on top of that, the value, both in terms of dollars or maybe not dollars, right? Maybe they're still asking for insane amounts. But in terms of value that they provide to your defense, below average nose tackle to above average nose tackle, there's not that big a gap. Okay. There's not. There's really not that big a gap from below average to above average. If the thing that you all do is I hold my ground pretty well, I eat my gaps pretty well, I'm a space eating guy. And I think where you start talking about elevating and going to, like being good and great and elite is, are you a threat as a pass rusher? Are you not just eating space, but breaking plays up and making those big plays, right? Are you capable of stonewalling an offensive line? Similar to that, I know he was someone that a lot of Florida Gators fans were not very high on while he was here, or at least on social media from what I saw. But like Cam Jackson is someone that, I think he was a great nose tackle. We spoke about him that Tennessee game in 2023 for him was special, and I do know for a fact it played a part in him getting drafted where he got drafted. Because, like, if you could do that at the next level, you can be truly great. Because he dominated that game. It was unreal to watch him play against Tennessee in 2023. Go back and watch it. If you just want to see a clinic from a pure nose, that's that. And then his senior year, he showed some pass rush upside. And he truly became like an elite nose tackle at that point. But for Florida in this current defense that I'm expecting, I don't think that there's a need for an elite or even great nose tackle. And so you can go with the average to above average. He can do his job, and other players around him can be elevated because of him doing his job, because that's the true value that a nose tackle brings. Right? It's eating the blocks, like eating space and stuffing the run there, but also freeing up other players. Because ideally, you are just too massive for one individual offensive lineman to be responsible for blocking you. And so you got to have 2 guys there. And if there's 2 on you, everyone else gets one-on-ones. Or the offense has more people blocking and less people running routes. And so then your coverage is improved. So I think that, you got to look for a nose tackle here that'll contribute and help. I don't think that they're going to go for a big name, which nose tackles generally aren't big names, but I don't think you're going to see a big name get here. I do think that you're going to see them bring in a nose tackle that can just come in and contribute. Okay. I know they're going for a defensive tackle. I think it's going to be a nose tackle type role that can come in and contribute right away. We are going to talk about a spot on the offensive side of the ball that Florida is looking to add in. They have a visit set up. We'll talk about that when we get back with Locked On Gators. The new year is here, and it is the perfect time to reset your routine and refresh your space. If you're spending more time at home, you might as well love how it looks and feels, right? And that's why you should turn to Wayfair. It's a one-stop shop for getting your home back on track. It's a new year. Everybody wants to reset and get back on track with fitness, diet, all that fun stuff that, well, some of us are still trying to get back on track with, right? From bedding and mattresses to storage solutions for every room, Wayfair makes it easy to start the year fresh, get organized, refreshed, and back on track on this year for way less. Head to Wayfair.com wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Thanks again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast and on YouTube. And the Florida Gators are going to be looking to the offensive side of the ball, which, again, by the way, just to remind people, we're going to be going live today, midday-ish. I usually try to shoot for noon Eastern time. We'll see if we can make noon Eastern time work this time. If we can't, it'll be around then. I also try to schedule them earlier, so you should get a notification about 30 minutes before if you're subscribed. So you should get that if you have notifications on. But Florida offensively, a spot that they're going to keep looking at is tight end, which isn't surprising. Mentioned this yesterday during the Kanye Clark live, because we went live when he committed, that Florida is bringing in Trent Thomas for a visit on Thursday. I think it was Tyler Harden reported it. And I don't know if he was someone that they would have brought in if Tony Livingston didn't enter the transfer portal. But it wouldn't shock me if they were bringing him in for a visit anyway. Because we spoke about tight end before we knew Tony Livingston was leaving. We spoke about tight end, and after Lakota Dupree committed, what was it, last Monday or last Tuesday, we spoke about Florida still should look to bring in 2 more tight ends. That was my thought always, was they should still look to bring in 2 more tight ends because you lost a lot in that room. You really did. You lost Hayden Hansen. You lost Tony Livingston now. You lost Scott Isaacs is gone. You lost Cameron Kosman was gone. Like you lost your production, sure. The only proven production you had in the room. But you also just lost bodies in general. Like you lost your depth tight ends as well. And so for me, I was like, all right, you didn't really bring in a tight end class. You brought in Hezzy Kent from a freshman. You've got Lakota Dupree coming in from James Madison. Micah Jones going to be a sophomore. Amir Jackson coming back again for his 3rd year. And before Tony Livingston hit the portal, I was still like, you need to bring in, another 2 was my thought. Just because, again, you need bodies in the room. Like you don't need, I'm not saying you need contributors. I'm saying you genuinely just need bodies, depth, practice bodies, guys that are going to go out there and just practice. That's it. Just help keep your guys fresh. Just be scout team, whatever you need, but not contributors, right? That's what I think they're doing. And then Tony Livingston left. And I honestly, I still haven't changed much there. You brought in Luke Harpring from Georgia Tech, who is a good receiving tight end. You have Amir Jackson, who should be a good receiving tight end. You have Lakota Dupree, who has shown flashes of being a good tight end. Micah Jones, I think, is going to be in line for, I hate saying in line because I'm going to say in line for playing time as the inline tight end. Loved his film coming out of high school. And then you have Trent Thomas coming in from South Alabama as a guy that, I don't think you're going to see much of, if any. And like, I look, when he commits, if he commits, I say when because it's like, frankly, I think you're not going to get a better offer than Florida if you're him. But hey, maybe you go for a smaller school where you might actually contribute, right? He would have, I believe, 1 year of eligibility remaining. And so maybe someone that can come in might have a 2nd year. It's really weird with college football right now. But you're bringing in Trent Thomas from South Alabama, 6'5", 254. And throughout his career at South Alabama, he's got 5 catches on his career. 5 catches on his career for 39 yards and no touchdowns. Okay. That's it. 5 catches. 9 targets in his career. This year, he had 4 catches on 5 targets, and 3 of those targets came against Texas State and in the last game of the season. And 2 of those catches came against Texas State in the last game of the season. This is not someone that's, a significant part of the game plan for South Alabama, which tells me that you probably wouldn't be even a rotational part of the game plan for Florida. At least the way that I view it, right? And I do think that when you're talking about Florida, you have the top 4 tight ends, I think will at least contribute or rotate, whatever that may be, because that's what Buster Faulkner's done before. Right? With Buster Faulkner last year, there were 4 tight ends. But I mean, Luke Harpring, again, who committed Saturday, was it? Luke Harpring is, I mean, he was the leading receiver for Georgia Tech last year amongst tight ends. And he played the fewest snaps amongst tight ends. Like, he's got these roles set. And now that I look at it and I watch how things are happening, I'm like, okay, well, I could see just, again, like a 4-man rotation. The inline guys looking like Lakata Dipree from James Madison and Micah Jones. I'm not saying in order. I don't care about the order. But Lakata Dipree from James Madison and Micah Jones. And for the flex out guys, Amir Jackson and Luke Harpring, which is also a decent reminder that there were quite a few times last year where Georgia Tech would say, hey, these are my 2 receiving tight ends, and they're both on the field right now. Or these are my 2 blocking tight ends, and they're both on the field right now. Like, it wasn't like, oh, I have 1 blocking, 1 receiving on the field at all times. Like, there were genuinely times where they just went, hey, we're putting both receiving tight ends out there, and we're going to play here. So I don't even think it necessarily matters to go, oh, who's going to be first and second? Because you look at what Georgia Tech did rotation, and I'm not saying that it's going to be, exactly what Georgia Tech did, but you look at Georgia Tech rotationally with tight ends, and between the tight end that played the most snaps and Luke Harpring, who played the 4th most snaps, there's like 120 snap difference between them, which is not a lot. Like, that's a game and a half, 2 games. We'll say 2 games of playing a lot of snaps. So that's really not that much of a difference there. Again, that's from tight end 1 to tight end 4. That's not saying that we're going to have all 4 play, right? Maybe Micah Jones doesn't crack the rotation this year. Maybe Lakata Dipree doesn't. Like we really don't know. Maybe Luke Harpring doesn't. I think you got quite a few guys that need to improve their blocking right now. And I do think that that's still going to be valuable. Like, all of us expect this team to throw the ball more. And all of us expect this team to go with lighter personnel more, right? Like 4 receiver sets, 5 receiver sets. But the tight ends still need to block and still need to be contributors there. And so we'll see what you get there. But I mean, this bringing in Trent Thomas right now, like, he's not someone that you're bringing in to go, like, you're going to be our starter or you're going to be a significant contributor. He's someone that you're bringing in and you're saying, all right, well, 6'5", 254 is decent size for a tight end. You've had some moments, which, by the way, he played against Tulane last year. And so, like, South Alabama played against Tulane. So, again, this is another instance where Florida has, or a member of Florida's coaching staff has played against someone that Florida is targeting in the portal or adding in the portal. So you've seen them up close and in person. And so another instance of that. But also, again, like we've seen with this whole portal cycle, Florida's bringing in guys where your expectation is, hey, you're not going to play. Like, that's not what we're bringing you in for. You're not here to play. You're not here to do any, like, you're not here to contribute to the on-field product in game. You will practice with us. You will lift with us. You will help make us better, but not on game day. Like, you won't be out there on game day. And that's how I view Trent Thomas, at least. Frankly, that's just how I view him. Which also, like, I know we can state the obvious here if we need to. He could easily do like that. The coaching staff could feel different, right? Easily. I get paid to give opinions. I'm going to be wrong a lot. I'm going to be right, but I'm going to be wrong. Like, so that, like, the coaching staff could feel totally different about him. I don't know how they do, but I'm just saying from how I view him, there's that. And hey, Arlis Boardingham's back in the portal. Maybe him, right? I kid. Don't need to bring up those old wounds. Florida added Kanye Clark yesterday from the transfer portal. We're going to talk about him when we get back with Locked On Gators. There is nothing like college football season. tailgates, packed stadiums, being right there in the middle of it all. And I can't wait for it again. I'm telling you now, I'm already thinking about it. The 2026 season. Looking forward to the Oklahoma game. Not going to lie. Really hoping to make it down there for that one because that's going to be a good one. That's going to be a doozy. Crowd's going to be rocking. Can't wait for it. The energy, the band, like the moments that you remember forever. I don't think I'll ever forget Amari Burney picking off Cam Rising in the end zone in Billy Napier's first game at the University of Florida. It's amazing. I'll be buying my tickets with Game Time. They give the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to unlock amazing college football tickets and experiences. I go to concerts there in just a few easy taps. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Thanks again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast and on YouTube. And the Florida Gators last night added UCLA defensive back Kanye Clark. I would say this personally, I would still add another corner, and that's not even to be indicative of what Kanye Clark brings to the table. It's really not. I think he is pretty athletic. I think he's very versatile. Like he is. He's a very versatile defensive back. He's been at UCLA for 3 years. Started as a walk-on, earned a scholarship, and earned playing time, by the way, in 2024. Like this is a guy who in 2023 was a freshman walk-on that played a tiny bit, which honestly is impressive in itself. A true freshman walk-on playing defensive snaps in blowouts and bowl games, right? But still, playing snaps at all is incredible. Redshirted in 2023, and then in 2024, I think would have been a key special teamer, and I think would have played significant rotational defensive snaps in the secondary at corner, but unfortunately got injured after week 2 and missed the remainder of the season. So he took a medical redshirt during the 2024 season. Then he came back in 2025 and was almost exclusively a nickel for the first 6 weeks of the season. Then again, dinged up. Came back at the end of the season and played nickel in one game, and then ended up playing one game at corner and starting another game at corner. Like this is someone who is very versatile. I don't know why he's listed as a safety on On3. Like maybe the plan is to play him at safety, but I really don't think that's the plan. 6 feet tall, 190 pounds. Like I don't think the plan is to play him at safety. Maybe the plan is to play him at nickel, right? In which I do think that he'd be able to compete for playing time there, right? And I think that when you watch the end of the season, he kind of looked like he was figuring out corner again because it's like, I don't even want to say it's like riding a bike, right? Because when you're riding a bike, like you kind of just do it and you're right back into it, right? It's like, I don't know, shooting a basketball. We'll say, yeah, but we'll say it's like shooting a basketball, or hell, throwing a football, right? Where you don't do it for a while, and then you do it, and you probably a little bit rusty at first, and then you get back into your rhythm. And I think that Kanye Clark, when you see him play nickel for the first, 6 weeks of the season, then come back from being banged up, which by the way probably means he wasn't fully healthy for the end of the season either. You see him play the first game against Washington at outside corner, and it's not the prettiest. I don't think he was necessarily, awful in coverage. I do think that he's someone that can compete there. But I do view him also as just at corner, more of a depth piece. Nickel, I don't know. Nickel, I'm still torn on because DJ Coleman and Cam Dooley can both play nickel, but they're also both going to play safety. And I think Cam Dooley is more likely to stay full time at safety, and DJ Coleman's going to probably move around the formation a little bit so that there's times where you could have Bryce Thornton, Cam Dooley, and DJ Coleman on the field all at the same time. I think Lagonza Hayward should still play nickel, right? Maybe Kanye Clark is nickel 3 there, right? Like maybe he's nickel 3. And so there's all that, which again, like that could play sporadic snaps. Outside corner, like frankly, I like the youth in the corner room, and if they develop the way that they can develop, great, right? Like if Cormani takes the next step, if Dijon's healthy again, if Jabari Flowers keeps going, Ben Hanks keeps going, like they had quite a few guys in the corner room that really impressed in 2025. And so that's like some of those guys got off to a hot start. If they get developed finally, then you could see some more from them. But I don't know. I feel like, and also, by the way, I don't think I mentioned this already. I might have, I might not have. Kanye Clark is, while he's been in college for 3 years, because he had 2023, he actually redshirted. 2024, he medically redshirted. And 2025, he played. He still has 3 years of eligibility. So he also fits the Jon Sumrall, you're experienced, but you have multiple years of eligibility to continue developing and continue growing. But we also know that your floor is pretty decent. And so Kanye Clark kind of fits all of that. Like he fits the Sumrall mold, can contribute on special teams. I'm interested to see what the plan is with him. Because the plan could also be, you're going to learn nickel, you're going to learn outside corner, and wherever we have a need for you at that point is where you're going to play. Like if we feel like, hey, we can use some, if we could use some life at nickel, then go ahead. If we feel like we can use some life at outside corner, then go ahead. If we want to just have you at outside corner in case injuries pile up, then go ahead. And I think Kanye Clark gives you that versatility. This is, again, more of a depth or rotational hire or rotational add right now. He's had some promise, or he's shown some promise to talk about. The versatility is the big thing for him, right? I think one of the I don't know how to put this other than like he's a dog, right? I think he'll fight whatever spot he's at. And I think that every secondary needs guys that just fight. And Florida has him already. Adding more, I like that. Now, he's a tough dude, has come back from injuries and fought back, and still looks like he's got the juice. I think he's got developmental upside, I'll say. Think he could be a rotational guy right now with developmental upside, and you just see what you got and you see what you have. But overall, like I'm optimistic, I'll say, about Kanye Clark. I don't know why. Just when I was watching him last night, I was just like, I could see the flashes of what you can be. But for me, you got to stay healthy, and you got to be able to do it consistently. We've seen flashes. You got to be able to do it consistently. If you can get better coaching, maybe it actually happens, right? Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free, whether it's the podcast and on YouTube. We will be back later on today, like I said, probably midday-ish for a live stream about the portal. We'll talk quarterbacks, and we'll have some fun with that. For Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI and swampsignal.substack.com for scouting reports about the transfer portal players, transfer portal commits. And I'll see you all next time.